Hello, beautiful people. I am the Alien Cat, and welcome back to my channel. Or if you are brand new here, welcome on in to my channel. Today's episode is going to be just a little bit different from what we usually do on his channel, but it's definitely a thing that I want to integrate more into the channel because I'm just a huge fan of Avatar: The Last Airbender. The animated show is my favorite animated show ever, if not my favorite show ever. I watched it when it first came out when I was a kid, and I have rewatched it so many times since. I've read some of the comics. I now have the Rise of Kyoshi novels along with the other Kyoshi novels there in the corner, and Yang Chen as well. Now that we have the first season of the live action, and the show has recently been approved for seasons 2 and 3. I thought it would be fun to review the show together. I have watched the first season already, and I just wanted to rewatch it again with you guys. Feel free to also share your thoughts in the comments. I would love to hear your opinions on the show also. And obviously, spoilers if you have not watched the animated Avatar: The Last Airbender or The Legend of Korra. I also know that the show has received a lot of mixed reviews. Some people enjoyed it, some had mixed feelings about it, some didn't really enjoy it too much. I'm on the mixed. I find that there were some things that they did that I actually liked and some things that I did not. We will talk about all of it. And while we rewatch this, be prepared for a lot of commentary as well, because I have a lot of things that I want to say about the show. And I would like to point out that I am trying to come at it at a more positive point of view, while also giving my own personal analysis and critique. It is also important to keep in mind that the original creators of the Avatar: The Last Airbender, they left the production fairly early on due to creative differences. And last but not least, absolutely no hate towards the cast or the creators or the directors or the writers. I do not know about the ins and outs and everything. I don't know what went behind a lot of the choices that had to be made throughout the production. I can only assume based on what I see in the show. And I do actually like the cast that they chose, especially because I do believe that the social media team, or whoever was in charge of putting the cast on the internet before the air show, so that we could kind of connect with them more. I mean, at least for me, it did work a bit. I don't actually know anything about the cast, but I got to see their interactions and everything. So grab yourself some tea. I have some English breakfast tea here, and a snack as well. I have Kinder Bueno for this episode. I might grab another snack at some point, but we have this to start with. I am also joined here by the lovely Appa, who will be judging the show alongside with us. And obviously, as I said before, we have Avatar Kyoshi and Yang Chen in the corner there, who will judge the show alongside us as well. And let's get this party started. I'm looking forward actually to rewatching the show with you guys, so it'll be fun. So it's Cabot, so big and majestical. Capital is itty. I mean, come on, like, it looks really good. Like, just the look alone, it looks really good. Drama. we have some drama here already. Hell yeah, we live for it. I mean, the bending already looks really, really good, especially when you compare it to that that film that never actually happened. So we're already off to a really strong start. We're also in a scene that we haven't seen in the OG show. So earthbending style. Let's freaking go. Hell yeah. I just want to say also, it's Sozin's Comet, meaning that the firebenders have their skills amplified tenfold, I think. Probably even more. I don't know. Their bending is super juiced, you know? So what I'm curious about is like, I mean, The earth benders bending looks cool. I like it. I like the drama, but when dealing with a group of fire benders who are guards and with the comet, I don't know if I feel like we should be seeing more devastating attacks. I guess maybe because it's inside of the city itself, so they don't want to cause too much damage. But I think it's also because, like, on the one hand, it is kind of cool to open up with the comet, but I think it's a bit problematic. I don't actually mind the change. What I'm saying is that it's kind of hard to tell what the norm of fire bending is because we only saw the power of the comet in the very last episodes of the OG show. And up until then, we saw what normal firebending looks like without the amplification of the comet. But here, we see it as the max that they can get to thanks to the comet. So it's just interesting to see, well, if this is how they are with the comet, it's interesting to see how they are without it. You know what I'm saying? But we'll get more into that anyway.
Your battle plans are already on their way to the Earth Kingdom.
Good. When your king receives those plans, direct his forces to your borders. The water tribes and the air nomads and the entire world will turn their attention to the earthbenders.
You wanted us to know.
I find this scene very interesting.
My sights are set higher.
Why are you doing this?
Because it is our time.
This is the amplification I was waiting for, I guess.
A masterful ruse, Your Highness, but tactically, the airbenders are not the threat.
This is about one who lives among them, the only one who could possibly stand in our way.
I really like how this scene was done because I do find it interesting that we're opening up with not only since Comet, but the start of the war, of the 100-Year War. And what I liked about this is that we see a bit more behind the scenes. I think that the tactic here of making it seem like the Fire Nation is aiming to try to get to the Earth Kingdoms, I just think it's interesting to play that so that we can kind of see a bit more of the tacticalness of it. I think it's interesting. There we go, the opening scene. Kiyoshi! Our dear Kiyoshi.
Fire.
Animation look like just the opening scene looks really cool. Like that looks really cool. Kiyoshi! Yes, Queen. I want those fans. I really want those fans. Yes, Queen! Let's freaking go! That's really cool to see the staircase of the past avatars.
Fire Lord Sozin believes this is his moment to launch a merciless campaign. His first step is to eliminate the one person who could stand in his way, an airbender who may not be ready for the responsibility of becoming
Hello, Aang.
the Avatar.
Okay, thoughts on the opening scene. I like it. I do. And listen, I love Avatar Kyoshi. Okay, she's one of my favorite avatars. I adore her. But why do they have to give Katara's line to Kyoshi? Somebody mentioned once that it's part of fans is service or something. And to that I say probably. If that's the case, I don't blame them. But also, why? It's Katara's line. Unfortunately, they do this fairly often in the show, which we'll talk about them as they happen, which is kind of meh, but what can you do? I guess. I do like the swirliness of this. I think that looks cool. I think it looks cool. I really like these swooshy brush-like strokes. I think it looks cool. I'm just glad it's Aang and not Ong. Southern Air Temple. Look at this! It looks so cool! Look at it! I love what they did with everything. Everything just looks really good. The details are just amazing. Aang! Yatso! Oh yeah, I totally forgot that Aang can fly. I know that some people have had issues with this fact that Aang can fly. On the one hand, I get it because on the OG show, we're kind of taught that only 2 people have ever been able to actually fly. So in The Legend of Korra, we also learn that the only person who was able to fly, the only air nomad who was able to fly is Guru Lahima. Afterwards, it also becomes that here is the second one who learns how to fly. And we're taught that the way for an air nomad to be able to fly is that he has to detach himself from all earthly possessions. Now, I don't know if they want to make it canon for this specific adaptation of the show, because I do get is the argument saying that it just makes things a bit too easy for Aang, and I agree with that to a certain extent, because it does make things a bit easier, because Aang, at the end of the day, he is a master airbender. He is a super talented kid. But to give him flight when it just kind of makes it seems like he's almost untouchable, I think, because it's because we were taught that it's such an advanced skill to have that only 2 people in the universe that we know of, at least in the Avatar universe, who possess it. So, like, I'm curious as to what made them kind of choose that. I don't know. I guess if he's able to do so, then there must be a reason for it. I guess they want to make it easier so that, like, I wonder if they want to make it easier so for them more so for the production itself, so that he doesn't need to use his glider too much. I don't know what went behind the scenes there. But I do get the argument where it just makes things a little bit too easy, and I agree with it for the most part. I mean, from everybody's reaction, it seems like he is probably the only one who can fly, which is fair, I guess. I don't know what their thoughts are.
Go off.
Yes.
I was just enjoying the bit.
You skipped training again.
You know I already know all this stuff.
You may be more advanced than the others. There may come a day when you wish you'd spent more time with your teachers.
He knows. It's also like, well, he also kind of knew in the OG show as well. You know, they knew things were happening.
The other students better go help set up for the Great Comet Festival.
I love how they turn into
Still a lot
a
of work
festival
to be done
type of
before
a thing.
Air nomads from the other temples arrive.
This is the important thing. Look at all them appas. Look, Appa, it's your brothers. It's your brothers and sisters.
All of them.
Okay, what just happened here was a very interesting take. I actually like how they played this out. You know, they turned it into a festival type of thing, because, I mean, to be fair, in the OG show, when we see the comet, it does actually look really beautiful. But the thing is that for here, it's an interesting take, because it's basically a change that makes sense, because they wanted to make it so that all of the nomads are in one place. And if they're in one place, it makes it easier to wipe them all out. Because I believe in the OG show, I think he started with the Southern Air Temple, and then he traveled north. I don't remember the ins and outs of it. If you remember, please remind me. But from what I do recall, Ozen, he used the comet to start the initial ambush of the nomads, of the air nomads. I don't remember if they attacked all of the temples at the same time, or if they went one by one. I feel like, if I do recall, they went one by one. Again, I don't remember that specific detail, which is important. So if you do remember, please remind me. The point is, I like how, for this adaptation, I do kind of like how they turn it into a thing to celebrate. Therefore, also their guard is down. While some of the nomads, or maybe even all of them, they do kind of know that, you know, things are kind of happening. Like, there's something going on around the world, as Gyatso also hinted here, also that there might come a time where you wish you would have spent more time with your teachers. When he said that, you know, he knows that something is going on. I think that everybody does at this point. I'm curious if they would have known, if there would have been a group of nomads to kind of help the Earth Kingdom. Probably not, because they're pacifist at the end of the day. They probably would want to keep to themselves, I guess. But anyway, I like this change that they made. It makes sense. I think it also helps with this type of a storyline also. And I think that they did this part well, just to make it so that they are all in one place. Their guard is down because it's a festival. But then again, having all of the air nomads in one place, it might make them also a formidable force as well. Because we've seen air bending when it wants to be lethal. We've seen it, especially in the Legend of Korra. but they're also pacifist. So it's kind of like it's one of those where they can cause a lot of damage, but they probably choose to not because they're pacifist. They value life. So it's just interesting. It's just interesting. And that's that. But on the other hand, the Fire Nation also has the Comet's power at their disposal. So
We can't ask this of him.
Fire Lord Sozin is planning to attack the Earth Kingdom.
okay, so that they do know.
Tribes are already sending the warriors to aid the Earthbenders, and we need to help them as well.
Okay, so they want to help
We
them.
need the Avatar.
But there's much he still needs to learn. Most of all, he needs to know who he is. If we send him away before he learns these things, he could fail to be everything we need him to be.
I do appreciate that Gyatso's still his advocate.
But it is not our place to choose who bears that burden.
Aang must leave immediately to begin training in the other bending disciplines.
Well, the last one was 100 years ago, and believe it or not, I'm actually not old enough to have seen that.
Could have fooled me.
Okay, I'm gonna be a little bit picky here because this is just the way that I am. I noticed throughout parts of the show that I feel like they had to re-record some lines, some of the dialogue and stuff because maybe there was a problem with the sound during recording and stuff. But you know when you look at a film and you hear the dialogue and it doesn't fit the movement of the face and the mouth, almost as if like it's re-recorded. So I see that, and Gyatso's laugh felt like that. I don't know if it's just me. Maybe that's just how it was also in the recording. You know, and the actual shooting itself. But this is a thing I tend to notice a lot. So
Can save the world.
no pressure at all, Aang.
You're to leave right away so you can begin training in the other disciplines.
Leave my friends? Leave home? Leave you?
On the one hand, I do feel like I kind of understand why they kind of made Gyatso tell Aang all of these things and stuff. But in the OG show, I know that Gyatso did kind of inform him of things as well. But he was advocating for him, wanting him to stay with the air nomads until he becomes of age, you know, until the age of 16. He was advocating for him. He wanted to keep him there. I mean, I can see that they probably wanted him to just kind of like say everything, kind of speed things along. Because again, this season is only 8 episodes. Each episode is about an hour-ish long, so you don't have a lot of time for everything. I understand that's fairly condensed, and it makes it easier to just have Gyatso tell Aang everything as opposed to kind of like make extra scenes where he finds out more and everything. I get that. I'm assuming that that's the thought behind it. Again, I don't know the ins and outs and everything. I'm just making assumptions, as I said, from what I see. And you would think also that if this was the case also, that it would probably also push Aang to run away. That if his best friend, basically, you know, Monk Gyatso was his teacher, but also his best friend. So basically to just hear his mentor also say all of these things, it's like, oh my god. So it makes sense. I don't know if I like it that it's Gyatso who is the one who says you have to leave to learn the other elements and stuff. So I feel like it makes sense for this adaptation. I'm not a huge fan of it, but meh.
Always remember who you are, because I can't imagine a better person to have been given this power.
Why do I have to be different? Can't I just keep pretending I'm your friend?
You will always be my friend.
Aw. This whole scene is really sweet. I think at the end of the day, I think it is done well. You know, it does show that Aang is like, I don't want this, which is what entices him to run away. Look at the comet, it's so pretty. I kind of wish it was a bit more, but it makes sense, so it's fine.
Look, Appa, it's you. It's Sweet Appa.
Gyatso's
Sweet
supposed
Appa.
to be the Avatar. Monk
monks don't even trust me to feed the baby bison, and I'm supposed to save the world?
Aang has a way with animals. I feel like he would be alright with feeding the baby bison.
I like to play airball and eat banana cakes and goof off with my friends.
Aww.
Other kids always say I'm lucky because of the things I could do. I don't want the responsibility.
Aww. Appa's like, meh. You're such a cute boy. Oh, we all need an Appa in our lives. Oh, it's the drums of war.
Remember, no survivors.
And here comes the ultimate drama. At least we get to see the actual attack. He hears things.
Brothers and sisters, we're under attack!
We have to remember the Fire Nation has the comet's power. I'm assuming that's probably the only reason why they were able to shoot upward and fly into the air. Let's go!
Where's Aang?
The action is very moving and stuff. This is really cool. This looks really good. Like, just the action of everything that is happening looks really good. Just showing what the air nomads can also do, I think is really cool. Yes! This is really cool.
It's getting kind of rough, Appa. Maybe we should head back home.
Each time I see this, I get chills. This is a powerful scene. When you see all the fire behind, you know, you can see the devastation of this whole thing. Chills. I just want to point out one thing. The scene with Aang getting swept up by the wave, I think it's a really good scene. I think it's powerful, but just imagine that scene and he comes up to the wave and you know you see that Aang's head is tilted upwards, you know, to see just the sheer size of it. Just imagine seeing just the look of pure terror on his face and a pure uh-oh, I'm fucked type of a moment. I think that little extra thing would have made much more of an impact because, you know, obviously you see the giant wave, it's scary as fuck. It's like, oh my god. But if we would have seen his face, I think I think it would have made it just a little bit more, just more. Again, it's a great scene, it's powerful, but just a little bit more. That was actually the first thing that I thought when I watched these scenes. I was like, oh, I wish we would have seen just a glimpse of Aang's face, just his face, and just the terror when he sees the wall of water. Go Gyatso. We have to remember also, Gyatso is one of the best airbenders out there too. He's a powerful dude, so we expect to see a lot from him.
May have prevailed on another night, but not when we have the power of the comet.
I would like to point out, again, I know it's an adaptation, things they need to be changed. It makes sense. It's all good. But in the OG show, when Aang finds Monk Gyatso, you see him in a room full of fire benders and him in the middle of a room up against a wall. Meaning that something happened in that room. Something happened. People speculate that Gyatso sucked all of the air out of the room, and also by doing so he killed himself because he didn't have a lot of scorch marks on his clothing and stuff. I would argue that if that was the case, then I feel like he probably got hurt and he was probably dying anyway. So in a last attempt to whatever, he probably did do that. I don't know. Again, we don't actually know what happened. I don't know if the creators ever talked about it, either what actually went down in the scene. And I'm actually curious, like, if the creators were involved throughout the whole production, I'm very curious to see like what things would have been on the screen. But anyway, so I feel like for this scene, they kind of did him dirty. I mean, I get that they didn't want to prolong the fight scene because they showed us more so the fights between the soldiers and the nomads. So we got to see more of that because we don't see that at all in the OG show, and I do like that they added that in. I'm actually glad. When I watched it for the first time, I was like, oh, this is cool. This looks really cool. And we got Katara. We have Katara. I don't know if I like the fact that she's on that firebender ship. When in the OG show, they talked about how that place is a bad memory for them. But when I saw that initially, I was like, why is she in that ship? You know, that's a devastating part of their history. I don't know. I wasn't too much of a fan of that little change there. Wolf Cove. Oh, that's cute. Everything looks like I will give credit where credit is due. Everything looks really good. You know, just everything just looks good. I like the costumes as well. Also the air nomads. It's like the costumes look really good.
Manning the wall in
Sokka.
3-hour shifts, but it seems some of you can't be trusted to stay at your posts. Is there a problem? Didn't think so. Okay, back to your duties.
Yeah, that fits.
Yeah, they just don't appreciate your incredible leadership skills.
That's right, they don't realize it. Very funny.
That interaction was good.
So where were you before? You were waterbending again, weren't you?
Don't worry, no one could see me. Not that it matters.
Of course it matters. If anyone from the Fire Nation finds out you're a waterbender.
No one from the Fire Nation has approached the village in years.
So when I first saw the scene, I was kind of like, I do like the cast. I think, you know, they look the part, and I think that they have more a potential. I know that pretty much most of the cast, I believe, is a huge fan of Avatar, The Last Airbender, which is also nice that they cast people who are passionate about the show. But I kind of wish I would have seen more of that spunk from Katara. You see the glimpse of it, but I don't know if this was her, you know, very first big production film. Maybe she was nervous. Maybe she was either holding herself back or she was being held back. I think because, you know, Katara's a fighter. She has a lot of spunk to her. Same with Akko also in his own way. And you see it with Ian. I feel like you see it more with Ian, not so much with Wendio. I hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly. If I'm not, I'm so sorry. In my head, because the way that I see it, you know, I see their passion for the show, and I'm like, where is that on the screen? I don't see it as much on the screen. On the one hand, you know, you can only, I don't particularly want to use this word because I don't think it's that, but you can only blame the actor so much. Again, it's not actually blaming. Like, I don't blame the cast for anything. I don't blame anybody, but it's like, I think it's more so you can only put the pressure so much on the character without looking to the directors as well, because there are plenty of actors who, if they have a good director, they will bring out the best in the actor. If they have a lousy one, then the actor's acting abilities are not as good. You do have actors that even with a crappy director, you know, the actor's still very, very good. But some do need that extra bit of a push from a good director. So I don't know what the interaction was between the cast and the director. It might have been really good. It might have been a bit awkward. It might have been, I don't know. Again, I don't know. But I'm missing something from the characters. Not just her, also, not just Katara. I know that there's a lot of beef with that, and that Katara wasn't like, I know that a lot of people believe that they kind of ruined Katara's character, and I agree with that to a certain extent. We will go through that as we watch the show together, but at the same time, you know, I'm curious as to why that happened, and I do also hope that when, you know, as they work on seasons 2 and 3, I do hope, like, I have a feeling that I mean, if the production was smart, which I do believe that they are at the end of the day, they probably wanted to just film the first season first anyway, because they wanted to see the audience's reaction to it, you know, before trying to prepare more so for seasons 2 and 3. You know, I do believe that they were preparing for it anyway, just in case. But if that was the case, and if that they filmed the first season, they released it, if they wanted to see the audience's reaction, which is a good thing, I do hope that they take more so the constructive criticisms that the audience has towards the show. Because I know that there are people who bash on this, and I personally, I don't want to bash on this show. I think that at the end of the day, I did enjoy it, but I do hope that they take the constructive criticism of the audience, you know, like their analysis of Katara and the other characters as well, and kind of like say, okay, so we need to add some extra things here and there, because I want to see more of her, and we'll get more into that as we go along.
What is that?
Huh. Weird. We need to get that canoe or we're gonna end up as fish food. Katara?
The glowing statues of all the avatars. I like that he has a little collection of the avatars. Hey, Zuko, let's go, Dallas. Beam of light.
Finally.
See, here is my main issue with the scene as well. And again, I get that changes need to be made. It's an adaptation. You know, you kind of have to move things along in a way. But they could have easily turned that scene into an argument between Katara and Sokka. I mean, they were already arguing on the canoe. They could have continued that argument. Kind of like in the show, in the OG show, you know, they had the argument, and you know, Katara's rage is the one that breaks the iceberg. It was her anger, her rage towards her brother, because it was also part of a demonstration of her power, and the fact that she can't even bend a blob of water, which I can't believe I'm about to say this. Even in the movie, the first scene you see of, you know, Katara is that she's able to bend a floating water thing. It splashes on Sokka like in the show, but, you know, she's able to bend. I would have loved to have seen an outburst, you know, and they could have easily have done that as well. In the same amount of time that Sokka was looking at the canoe and, you know, Katara was looking at that sphere, they could have easily have had an argument, even if it's just like 2 minutes, just 2 minutes worth of an argument, for her to get angry and just like, yeah. that was done well. It's all dramatic, and then
Whoa, whoa, whoa. What are you doing?
You're not thinking of leaving him.
Katara, a strange glowy iceberg just exploded and left behind a mysterious little bald person.
Sokka, he's just a kid.
I see him trying.
Like this. Why listen to
I'm
me?
sure that she's also trying. I want to see more of her. More. Give me more.
I don't think your father would want you.
My father has banished me until I find the Avatar, and that's exactly what I'll do. It'll all be worth it once I return home in glory to take my place as the rightful heir to the Fire Lord.
I'm just going to say this now. I think that Dallas does a great job in playing Zuko. And I forgot the name of the actor who plays Iroh. Like, he does well as well. Aw, he looks so happy.
What did I say about keeping your guard up? He could be the enemy.
The enemy? I'm not the enemy. Have you seen Appa, my sky bison?
Appa! He's a cute boy! The cute boy! Aw, he's so happy. I love how he brings the staff as well. Oh, he's got the frosty bits on his fur. That's really cute, actually.
Sky bison.
Sokka. He's like...
Water, earth, fire, air. Long ago, the four nations lived together in harmony. Then everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked.
Where have we heard this before? Stop stealing Katara's lines. Why is everybody taking Katara's lines? I get it. It makes sense because she's the elder. So she knows a lot of things. She's experienced a lot of things.
The last time that the Great Comet was seen in the sky was 100 years ago.
I would like to also ask, actually, how long does the comet last for? Because in the OG show, I think it lasted for like, what, about an hour? Or something? They didn't have a lot of time. Whereas for the festival, like, it seemed like it lasted for a couple of days even. Because they started in the Fire Nation, the capital city. We see the comet. So it's at least a day. At least he runs away, because that's kind of his thing. He runs away a lot.
He is the last airbender.
Of all the places you have to drag our asses to, he picks the coldest spot in the world. How come his omens never take us somewhere with hot springs, huh?
Is there something you want to say, Lieutenant G?
No, sir.
Are you okay?
All my friends, everyone I know, they're all gone.
So our father set out with the other warriors to hunt down the firebenders. That was 3 years ago, and we haven't seen him since. He had left Sokka in charge.
Also her.
Guess he had to grow up fast.
She was also left in charge. I want to point that out.
They were part of the Fire Nation's first attacks on the Water Tribe.
See 2 ships over there.
The firebenders were ruthless, but the waterbenders are still fighting back, and the Earth Kingdom is still holding strong. We hope.
I like how they add "we hope" because it's like, how would they know? They're so isolated from the rest of the world.
No one visits other nations now. We're only friends with our own kind.
That is an important thing to say, because it kind of reminds me of the first set of comics also. I forgot if it was called the Promise. I think it was The Promise that is the first set of comics, but anyway, you kind of see it in the comics, but you also see how that changes. You see more of the integration, because yeah, in the show you do see a lot of the separation. You know, you don't see any earth benders up in the north and the south pole. You don't see fire benders in the north and the south poles either. You see them in the earth kingdoms, but that's because of the Fire Nation colonies that are there, which is another important aspect for the comics. Dallas's martial arts skills are really good, I have to say.
Your skills have never been sharper.
I need to be at my best when I face the world's ultimate warrior.
I don't particularly like how this part of the scene went down, because in the OG show, you know, Iroh was correcting him, is saying, you know, making the important points that fire bending is from the breath, not from the muscle, which is a thing that Zuko, he struggled with a lot. I mean, the line that he said also, Zuko, I mean, about him needing to be the best and everything, and Iroh saying that you have trained enough. It's like very like, no, that's not how that went down. Because I mean, Zuko eventually gets angry. That is the source of a lot of his bending. Is just pure anger.
And so your return home may be unexpected.
You're wrong.
That is accurate. Yep. That's accurate for what actually happened.
You're a waterbender.
Barely. I'm trying to get better.
You're better than that, come on. Initially, you're better than that.
Finding balance, can feel the energy.
I know that Aang gives her pointers in the show as we go on, but Katara is the one who ultimately teaches Aang how to waterbend. She already knew how to do this before. Yeah, they kind of bring her down a bit, which I don't like.
I wasn't even really trying.
That's good. You just have to let go.
I mean, fair enough that it was easier for her to catch on it and stuff, but I don't know. It's just a detail that I was like, meh about.
Someone
who is not one of you.
The kids with the rocks.
Sokka, don't you see? He's the Avatar!
And he lied to us about it.
I know how hard this responsibility has been for you. But there's more to being a leader than just catching fish. You have to give people something to live for. That's what the Avatar is. He's hope.
I like how this scene was done. You see a bit more of, you know, Katara's spunk and her hope. Because he was the one who's skeptical about Aang in the first place. I kind of also wish that they would have put the war makeup on Sokka's face.
Let's settle this between us. Leader to leader. I thought you firebenders had some guts.
Accept.
So Sokka's like, wait, really?
Leave him alone!
Action! Let's go, Aang. Let's freaking go. Cool. Go, kids.
We have to do something. Sokka, we have to help him.
Make sure to reinforce the braces on the gate. And don't fall behind a drill. You're in charge.
At least he had the chance to put a person in charge.
Let's go save that weird kid.
Yep. Let's go save the weird kid.
There are many who never imagined this day would ever come, myself included.
I like this conversation that they have here together.
Why did the Fire Nation start this war?
Some people say it is within our nature to expand and consume, like fire itself. Others believe that true stability in this world can only happen under our rule.
Is that what you believe?
But I look forward to many more conversations with you, Avatar.
I hope they do have more, actually.
I'll have some jasmine tea sent to you.
Of course. But yeah, I liked how they had a conversation already. And of course, they at the keys.
Hopefully you can find a swift current.
We could go another way.
There's no way you're getting me on that.
That was good. That was good. I enjoyed that. Because at least that was ultimately Katara's idea. You know, when she sees Appa, it's like, we can take him. So I like how that went down. Yang-Chen, you're in the show. Yoshi, look. I find it interesting that they made it so that Zuko has a notebook with a lot of information about the past avatars. I mean, it would make sense to learn about the past avatars to kind of like hopefully learn about the current one. You know, habits, because they're all each other's like past lives. I personally like that little addition there. Whee! I mean, it's cool that they gave her a thing to do. But kind of a bummer that we didn't get to see like Aang fall and do the water tornado thing. But I'm glad they gave her a thing to do, I guess. But like, okay. Look, the scenery just looks, it looks so pretty. I really like just the mountains and everything. How did he know to go there? Or is it just more so because they've been there together a lot, I guess, or something? I don't know. I want you all to take note of how the building itself looks. Take note of how it looks now. Aw. That is cool. That the light with the tattoos, like, that was cool. Look at the building. Keep looking at the building. Keep looking at the building. I mean, this is a cool scene. You see his power. Give the speech! No! It's all well and good that he's thinking about Gyatso in this moment. But still. I think what's kind of a shame here is that Katara was the one who calms him down in the OG show, and it's an important part of it that Katara is the one who is able to calm him down. Pretty much the only person who is able to calm him down. So I kind of wish they, like, instead of giving that part of the speech, you know, the moment to Gyatso. I wish they gave it to Katara because she's the one who's able to calm him down. I mean, at least here we have this moment where they're, you know, like they have a more intimate
So not to be rude.
moment, but still.
What was that?
Sokka.
Monks are gone and I'm all alone.
The thing about losing everything is that that's when you learn how strong you really are.
They made the ultimate sacrifice. For me, I need to follow through on what they wanted me to do. Complete my training and master all the other bending skills so I can bring balance back to the world.
Oh, is that all?
It's only after we've lost something that we realize how much it means to us. How we'd do anything to get it back. I'm the Avatar. And this is just the beginning.
Ooh. Music. Okay. Well, that was the first episode of the live-action Avatar series. Here are my final thoughts on it. As I've said before, I do wish that they would have given Katara more. So, I mean, I know they took some and then they gave her some other things as well. So, I don't know if that's kind of their way of trying to compensate. But I do wish they kind of gave her the more important lines and dialogue that she needed. Because she's a very important, well, obviously every character has their part to play in the show, and I understand, again, because it's an adaptation, things they need to be changed and moved around, because for one, it's really hard to do a very good adaptation, a live action adaptation from an animated show, because with an animated show your imagination basically is your limit, whereas here you have other things that kind of limit you. Well, we have a lot of tech that makes special effects a lot cooler, like the action scenes that we see, you know, the fire bending, a bit of the earth bending, the water, and the air bending. You know, all of what we see, in my opinion, like it looks, the bending and the action scenes, they look good. They were done well. I really do like them. My final thoughts for this episode: I did enjoy it. There were some things that, as you heard, that I didn't particularly like. You know, I didn't like that they kind of gave some of Katara's lines to other people. I like the cast as well. I do think that ultimately the cast is good. I'm looking forward to watching the next episode with all of you guys soon. So thank you all so much for being here. I appreciate you so much. If you enjoyed this episode, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more videos every week. I will also love to hear all of your thoughts as well in the comments, and we can have a talk about it. And also feel free to join my Discord, where we can have a chat about all things Avatar. And once again, guys, thank you all so much for being here. Until next time.